AEDs consume half a file now? Excuse me? What's up guys, Chris here, and today I'm going to tell you guys all about the Charge Blade in Monster Hunter Wilds. I've played it for about 3 hours and it feels so powerful. Let's start with the most obvious new change, and that's how we use the SAED. Now, if you've made yourself familiar with the Charge Blade in previous iterations of Monster Hunter, then you know that the SAED is Charge Blade's strongest move, and it could always be used directly without any combo requirement before, as long as you had charged the shield and ideally 5 files. People have used this all the time, especially when waking up a sleeping monster to deal double damage on the wake up hit. Now watch this clip of me trying to wake up the Shaguma with an SAED.
Weil wir natürlich so viel zeigen, wie es geht und dementsprechend...
Oh ja!
Nein!
Perfekt, perfekt, perfekt!
Oh mein Gott!
Perfekt, hat funktioniert. Es war
Wunderbar,
geplant, es war geplant.
That's right, the SAED cannot be used directly anymore, while you're just standing, for example. Instead, you now have to use a number of different combo options, and afterwards you're able to SAED. I found several ways of doing it. There may be more, and we'll certainly find out soon. The first and most obvious one I found is using an AED. Right afterwards, you're able to combo into an SAED. The second option is after a perfect guard or guard point. When timed right, you can SAED, but not only that, what's new in Wilds is you can completely change the direction in which you're firing your SAED. Look at that almost 180-degree turn I'm making to hit Chatukabra's head. Then there is a combo whereby after an AED you can press circle for an elemental discharge follow-up, and then you can use SAED at the end of the combo. And you know what's amazing? Remember how in the past, after an AED, you always had to wait for the animation to play out at the end and morph back into sword mode, which was very slow? Now in Wilds, after an AED, you don't have to wait for the entire animation to play out anymore. You can then simply roll out of it, you can morph back into sword mode faster, or you can combo into an AED follow-up or SAED. So you have a lot more options. Just like many other weapons in Wilds, the Charge Blade also provides more combo variety, and it's in general a little bit faster. The last way of using an SAED is a power clash, but I'll show that later in this video.
Es ist wirklich nicht so einfach, hier reinzukommen mit dem Fokus.
You can run on top of dead monsters now. Forget everything I said about Charge Blade. This is the best feature so far. I want to talk about Savage Axe. It works completely differently compared to Iceborne. In Wilds, Savage Axe prolongs your files, meaning you don't have to recharge as much. But first, let me show you the different ways I found out to activate Savage Axe. The first way is when using focus mode and hitting a wound. Once you do, you will morph into axe mode and use what reminds me of Spinning Slash from Rise. It looks insanely cool, and this Spinning Slash activates Savage Axe, which you can then see by this icon next to your files when it's glowing. But remember that you only morph into Savage Axe if you actually hit a wound. Just using the focus mode attack in thin air does nothing. Another way of activating Savage Axe is the mount finisher when using it on a wounded part. Repeatedly hitting the monster at the same spot while mounting also seemed to wound the monster, so this is probably not as hard to pull off as it seems. The last way of activating Savage Axe we know of is after a perfect guard, but I wasn't able to get it on camera, so I'll just show the screenshot of this tutorial. In Wilds, Savage Axe prolongs your files. Precisely what it does is that every AED you hit will only consume half a file. Yep, actually half a file. Just as we're used to from old games, without Savage Axe active, AEDs will still consume a full file. But now with Savage Axe, AED only consumes half a file, and also the AED follow-up that you can do right afterwards by pressing circle also only consumes half a file, and it looks insanely cool. But you know what is the most crazy thing to me? Regular elemental discharges 1 and 2 don't consume any files. Check this clip and how much I can swing at the Shaguma left and right, bam 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 bam. And I only consume 3 files, that's crazy.
Ah, diese neue Combo fühlt sich so satisfying an. Großer Fan. Groß
Savage Axe also doesn't disappear anymore once you run out of files. Instead, from what it looked like in my gameplay, is that it has a 2 minutes timer, after which Savage Axe runs out unless you use another spinning slash to reactivate it. And actually, there is one more way of activating Savage Axe. Check this out. Here you can see me do a power clash with the Shaguma by blocking the Shaguma's attack. It didn't seem like it needed a perfect guard to trigger the power clash. I also didn't repeatedly guard several moves before it, so it just seemed to trigger by guarding this attack one time. What's great about the power clash for CB is that it doesn't only look very cinematic, but it lets you combo into an SAD or Savage Axe. What's up guys, I'm Large Dunkpod and next to me is Mecha Potion, and one insanely interesting new feature about Chargeblade I found out sadly after my stream is overcharging or stacking files. During my stream at Gamescom, chat wanted me to overcharge, but what I understood was that they wanted me to overcharge the sword to see if it still bounced. I failed you guys miserably. Thankfully, Paradise from Eric's Gaming was able to capture this, so I'm showing a snippet of their gameplay here. Please check out the video from Eric's Gaming about Chargeblade as well. What we noticed is that the AED Paradise does not consume any file at all. Remember how Savage Axe made it so the AED would only consume half a file? Well, here, with both Savage Axe and the stacked files, you don't consume any file at all when doing an AED. Sadly, Paradise didn't do an AED follow-up, but I assume that would also not consume any file. We don't, as of right now, know what happens if you stack files but don't have Savage Axe active. Does it also only consume half a file? Just like Savage Axe makes you consume half a file, but if you have both active, you don't consume any? But to me, the fact that here you get an AED with 2 damage numbers of 30 from the file while preserving the entire file is crazy. Afterwards, this lets you use your SAD with full power and releasing all 5 files at once. But right now, we don't know if this increases the damage of the SAD or not, because I have not seen any footage of it. Also, if you load stacked files into your shield charge, then they're simply gone. I accidentally overcharged one file during my stream and loaded it into my shield and it was gone, and I'm not sure if this increased the duration of the charged shield at all. Keep in mind that my time with Wilds was very limited, so I definitely did not find out every single detail yet. Once a public demo comes out, my team and I will certainly find out a lot more and if stacked files deal extra damage on the SAED or not. Also, perfect guards seem to be dealing damage and allow you to combo into Savage Axe or SAD, so we will have to see how useful guard points even are in Wilds. One last thing I want to mention is that I tried holding down circle when doing elemental discharges and it did not seem to stick. There was no noticeable hit lag added when holding the button down like we've seen in Rise and Sunbreak. So I assume this feature is gone, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Apart from these very exciting changes, many combos work fundamentally just like in older titles. Charging the sword works just like in older games, charging the shield also seems to be the same, and the shield thrust works just like in the past too. If anything, CB feels very smooth in Wilds and it has a great animation flow. I'm personally a big fan of what the dev team has done to this weapon. I'm very excited to be able to swing a lot, use the file damage a lot, but not having to morph back into sword and shield mode as frequently to recharge the files, because we can now preserve it. I think that's a fantastic change. And yeah, I think this video here sums it up pretty well, and we will definitely make more CB videos in Wilds for you guys, especially with the public beta coming at some point, hopefully this year. So don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and next up will be a video about Longsword. See ya!